Hey guys, today we're going to be doing the first of a video series on how to make your Airsoft AEG shoot more consistently. As you can see, I have my ICS upper gearbox taken apart, and we're going to be looking at the compression components of this gun. Of course, compression is the first thing you think of whenever you think feet per second consistency and overall shooting consistency in an airsoft gun. In this compression train, so to speak, you have three places where compression can be lost in the cycle. The first is the piston head O-ring, right here. The second is right behind the cylinder head, where it meets with the cylinder. And the last is on the nozzle, where it meets with the cylinder head. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to increase the compression in your piston head O-ring. Okay, so I've got my two pistons here, and the first one on the left is the piston I use in my ICS M4, and it already has pretty good compression on the piston head, so I'm going to be setting that aside. On the other hand, I have the piston that I got out of my Cybergun FAMAS before I upgraded it, and the compression is pretty horrible on the piston head. First, I'm going to go over how you can check compression in your gun. What you're going to want to do is put your finger over the cylinder head and try and push the piston in it with the cylinder head covered. And good compression is going to resist right about here, and you won't be able to go any further. But this O-ring is pretty horrible, as you can see, so it pretty freely moves up and down in that cylinder. Okay, so you see how horrible that compression is in this piston head, and what we're going to do to fix that is expand the O-ring with heat. Okay, so all you need to do this is a lighter and the cylinder head out of the gearbox and the O-ring. Alright, so as you can see, I have taken the O-ring out of the piston head and stretched it around my brass cylinder here. And what you're going to do is take a handy dandy lighter and take the cylinder and hold it over the lighter for just a couple seconds and rotate it, and that heat is going to force this O-ring to expand and want to stay the size of the cylinder. And whenever you put it back on the piston head, you'll have yourself a nice oversized O-ring with extra good compression. Alright, so I went ahead and heat expanded the O-ring with my lighter, and I reinstalled the O-ring right back on the piston head, and we're going to go ahead and check how the compression increased on this piston. As you can see, much better compression. The piston no longer will come out whenever I try and force it into the cylinder. Whenever I let go, it goes right in and it comes right out. So as you can see, it did not make the compression perfect, but it greatly increased the compression around that piston head. So whenever you need to increase your piston O-ring compression, I highly suggest heat expanding your O-ring. It's free and pretty simple to do. So stay tuned for part 2. We'll move on to the cylinder head and the nozzle. Until then, signing off. Please subscribe.